Now, Kishore is talking about cloud automation for OpenNebula. Have fun.
Okay, good evening, and I hope this is our last presentation. I'm Kishore, and I'm going to be talking about Megum and OpenNebula. Okay, I hope you probably saw a lot of slides about our cloud ecosystem, and we fit into the PaaS model, where you can see a violet dot around the top. That's where we fit in this whole ecosystem of the cloud. So where are we actually heading? I mean, the cloud journey starts with more players from the infrastructure as service market, and then it goes to the platform as service market, and everybody wants to go down to the top of the SaaS as service market. And if you notice us, you see that what we are striving towards is going after and progressing beyond from the PaaS market to business process as a service. That's where we want to see that all the cloud services getting converted, the business processes getting converted to cloud services that can be consumed in an easier way. So that's our focus as part of Megum. So some of the problems that we saw that had a compelling need for us to focus on Megum systems were, if you have done migration from development to prod, it's really a nightmare. I mean, your systems are not the same. You know, in your development, you may have done testing on localhost 3000, and when you move to production, it's really a nightmare. If you have set up an application environment in cloud, it's even more a nightmare there when you move to cloud, because you got to tinker with a lot of software that you got to download and such. DR backup solutions are really not in place today. Most PaaS solutions that are available in the market that you see are more fast-paced PaaS that are really tight or vendor locked into one or more IaaS providers. If you also notice, there are a lot of SaaS software for monitoring and meeting information that are really costly. For example, in New Relic and such, it's really an expensive solution for you. So looking at all these problems, what if we can, if you can deploy in any cloud, public or private, you don't really care about, can you really capture all your repetitions that you do beyond your DevOps config management tool that you do? Can you really capture the stuff that you do for your core business? Can you really scale seamlessly? I mean, you may have a lot of frameworks for your company. It may be Java, Ruby, Node, Akka, Scala. You can keep adding to that list that is backed by an open source cloud. That may be any source cloud, GitHub, Bitbucket, CloudForge, or your own private GitHub based on GOGS or anything. And you really want some kind of a system that is API driven, so you can really tinker with that. How about you just launch your app and you monitor your log and also do application monitoring on top of it? And you don't want to have any vendor lock-in or any lock-in to any particular IaaS, and you want open standards. So our model is more derived from this form where we sit in the center, and we have a platform, a service market. We have an apps marketplace. We also have hybrid cloud processing with private cloud, on-premise, public. We don't really care about the storage. We can really do a DR or backup to any storage that you can think of. We can also get your source that is available in any source cloud, Bitbucket, GitHub, or even your private GitHub, which is based on GOGS or ACM Manager. Some of the features that we are talking here are more focused on developers here. Probably the slide is not more clear, but you can see that there's a comparison between what we offer and the PaaS that's available in the market. Some of the PaaS that is linked to SaaS, for example, if you talk about Force.com or Heroku, it's more linked to Amazon. Most vendors are focused towards the public cloud players. Google PaaS GA engine is more focused on its own cloud. But what if you can take a PaaS and then run it on top of any IaaS like OpenNebula? That's probably what we are talking about here. So we offer Megum as in 3 models. One is available as a SaaS. Today you can go ahead and try it from our www megam.co, or you can even get it as an installable product. We have a bunch of debs where you can go ahead and try it out. You can also use a packaged product like we saw in the Lightning track called Cloud in a Box, where if you have your own bare metal, you can just use our software. We have documentation for that in our website, so you can just plug our software in, and you would get a cloud loaded with OpenNebula and Megam instantly along with Cobbler. So how is our internal architecture? I think our CEO presented Megam in the OpenNebula Tech Day that was held in June, and we probably have progressed to major improvements in our 0.5 release. We have released support for Docker, which you saw on the Lightning track yesterday. We also have standards compliant based on Cloud CAMP and Tosca. CAMP basically stands for, which we'll cover in the later, Cloud Application Management Platform, and topology for orchestration of cloud applications. We also have built a Cloud in a Box, which is a cloud-ready technology and a seamless technology for people to really get up and build a private cloud quite easy. We kind of use most of the tools. For example, on the web, we use Ruby on Rails, and then we have an API layer, which is built on top of Scala. And we also have a command line that's based on Ruby, and we use a NoSQL database, Riak. Down the covers, we also use an engine that's built on Golang, and a bunch of other open source technology for the streaming the logs and such. The real-time streaming is handled by our Node.js daemon. So moving on to the Docker support for OpenNebula. Before moving on, I want to just touch upon a few things about why containers. I mean, containers are there for a long time. It's not something new that we're talking about here today. LXC has been there for around, I think, 15 or 20 years more, and it's been used quite dominated by for the VPN hosting by major players. But the container is picking up quite hard because it solves a unique problem of packaging everything into a shippable format, which might remain the same across your dev, prod, or staging environment. That's one of the basic advantages that you get by using containers. And the second advantage, which basically means you have portable images across the places that you want to deploy. The second advantage that you get in terms of virtual machine and a container is it pretty much runs on bare metal there. So you can just run it quite easy on any bare metal host rather than a heavy machinery that needs to be lifted for a virtual machine. We want to summarize some of the findings that we did before getting into the Docker support that we built. We observed all the vendors. There was a lot of market hype, and we pretty much went after everybody and saw what everybody was doing, right from OpenStack, OpenShift, Cloud Foundry, and then picked up the important concepts that were available and what was market fit for us to just stay on the ground right now. Because we believe that the Docker technology, as we tested, wasn't really stable. If you touch something, it doesn't stop the container. It really isn't production ready yet or enterprise ready yet. So some of the vendors like Google have given a lot of market hype on Kubernetes, but I would probably advise that if you go and enroll into the Kubernetes group, you can find there are a lot of issues by users saying that I'm not even able to run the samples that are provided on the website. So it is still evolving area that we saw. CoreOS has got a lot of market hype today, but we basically saw that it's a minimal OS with ability to run Docker inside it, and it provides updatable OS. So it has the latest kernel available for you today. That's what we saw about CoreOS. So Amazon Elastic Beanstalk is something we believe is a bit closer to our approach. They have a infrastructure as service, but they don't tell us on what operating system they deploy the PaaS Docker containers for you. OpenShift by Red Hat has got the PaaS cloud orchestration tool called GearD, and it also has a project called Project Atomic, which is quite closer to your CoreOS, which is providing a minimalistic operating system for Docker. Cloud Foundry, again, it's really a confused path that we found because Decker, Warden, Garden, and the list goes on. We were not able to figure out what the heck they were trying to do. But the Cloud Foundry really board says that they are in a huge rewrite right now. There are a lot of big vendors backing Cloud Foundry though. OpenStack has got another Docker driver, and it's also in a confused boundary because we saw that the Juno release has got a different model for Docker, so we were not able to find what is a roadmap actually. So based on all these findings, what we did was we took some of the good things that OpenShift has done, and we used GearD as our orchestration platform, and we moved on to a release actually. So this is basically what OpenStack and Docker has done. It's really ridiculously insane that we don't know what they're actually heading towards because the documentation actually does not clearly state what it does. It's not simple enough like OpenNebula does. So it's really a confusing documentation in the Juno release. They say they claim something, but we are not able to really make out what they want to do. AWS Docker, as I said before, has got a good thought about Docker based on Elastic Beanstalk. We picked some of the good things about it, but the problem with here is that they have a lock-in to their own format files that AWS believes. So every vendor in this PaaS market basically says, come to us, you are safe. That's the only thing we want to avoid. We don't want to take any ground towards somebody. Google Docker is something we really summarized before. Kubernetes is really evolving, but various big weights like OpenShift, who's doing a rewrite of their code for their 3.0 alpha, has put their weight on Kubernetes project. OpenShift and Docker and GearD is something we have chosen right now to automate the Docker support for us. So this is something we showed you a demo in our lightning track where we said that a developer builds and puts a Docker image on a private registry, Docker registry. It could be private or public. And the example that we showed in our lightning track were two Docker images, which was Java and a Node.js blog application. So a developer really builds the Docker image and pushes it to the Docker registry and then comes to Megum and says that, hey, this is my Docker hub URL. Go ahead and run me in your PaaS. So we take that Docker image and then use one of the VMs to stick containers into it. And we have a technology where you can run as many containers into the same VM as time progresses. Let's say you want to run 3 Docker app and a service, and you say that you want to connect both these services. We have a bind service that does that for you. So the way we do it here is that we use GearD to really start and stop the containers. We also have our own daemon called gulpd that handles the collaboration with our platform. So here is what we showed you yesterday. You launch a Docker VM and then you stick containers to it. We talked about standards, and there are 2 major standards that are trying to evolve today, and CAMP standard is actually being backed by Oracle and various major vendors for the cloud application management platform. This is more focused on a PaaS market to promote vendor interoperability. So if you have your PaaS running in your private, let's say you want to port it to somebody else, you have another installation who is CAMP compliant, you can just use your API and then point to the other person and migrate your application quite easily. Our APIs that we did in the 0.5 are compliant to the CAMP protocol 1.0 draft actually. So we follow the terminology that they provided and all the stuff given by them. So every application PaaS management platform that you do has to be modeled based on some description that you provide. For example, in OpenNebula, you provide templates to model the whole infrastructure that you want to launch. In the same way that we also have a topology modeling specification where you can model the deployments that you make on cloud. So this is an exhaustive specification that's backed by the industry, by all the major vendors today. And any application that you want to launch, if you write in this format and provide to us using a command line, it's an YAML file. It will just get launched in the cloud of your choice. And when I say the cloud of your choice, it means it can be OpenNebula or hybrid cloud or anything that you can think of. I talked about some of the things about containers. We also have another option called dense VM. So if you have a virtual machine and you want to stick more processes to it, for example, if you want to launch MySQL, which is a service, if you want to launch any other application, let's say you have a Liferay, a portal application which supports a Java web application and a MySQL, we do support that option, which means you can run a MySQL service and also a Rails application, and then say that you want to bind both of those. The Visual Designer is something that we touched upon yesterday in our demo, where you have a setting and a relationship, and you have Java. You say that my Java is connected to Postgres, and you say that launch it in this infrastructure as cloud, and we take this option, and Megam automatically computes the relationship, puts that, and launches in the cloud for you. The Visual Designer for Docker is the same demo you saw yesterday, and this pretty much talks about the same thing about Docker. We use CentOS 7, which is bundled with systemd, and also compose apps based on the Docker Hub URL. So the cloud in a box was shown by our CEO in the morning, and it pretty much provides a very simple ability for any small private provider to use our software and jumpstart the bare metal from 1 or 4 nodes to a private cloud running instantly with the storage backed up in a couple of hours for you. It depends on the time that it installs. So it's like seamless for you. You just go open a UI once you jumpstart the first box, and then click that you want to install here in the first one, and then plug the next one, and then say that you want to install the OpenNebula host on the second one, and it happens. And then you plug the third box and say you want a storage. It all gets connected seamlessly for you. So this process illustrates how a user can go around using cloud in a box in what I talked in the previous slide. So where are we heading towards? We want to look at native Docker as well, and also look at what does LXC and Rocket, the new hype that has been created by CoreOS team. We want to look at what they offer for OpenNebula. There's a lot of traction that's been happening in the industry about Bitcoin. The uniqueness of Bitcoin here is about identifying something digitally, that you are who you are. So it really tells you, it equates to an SSH ID to us. So we want to look at how can you make an application financially enabled using Bitcoin. If I have an application, I launch somewhere, I have Bitcoin, can it be financially enabled? We want to focus more on not just the financial transaction part, but how it applies to cloud in a different format. In the current conference, one of the learnings we got was Analytica service has got a lot of interest, and we want to look at the challenges that come on IoT and how a PaaS market can support big data for research. The last 2 areas are more high availability for our CIB itself, and how do you federate our cloud in a box across multiple locations, and how do you support CIB with DR? That's probably the end of my presentation. I just want to open up for questions if you have any.
So about your roadmap, the first point was the native Docker, Rocket LXC, this support for OpenNebula. Does it mean you're planning to build a driver for OpenNebula to interact with Docker? Or?
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion happening between, I believe, Emmanuel from Italy, a couple of folks, that team. So we want to sit together with them and see what best we can do, take it forward in terms of OpenNebula. But before going deeper, we also want to study, it's really, is there a performance improvement that you get? That is something also we want to do. What if you use LXC? Why do you even have to go to Docker? Is it really, because the challenges thrown by CoreOS team is something that is really bothering us, because Docker run itself runs as a PID1. That's a major problem that is in today. And that's what CoreOS has to openly come up and said that this is not the right way to do. So we want to see if really it helps. And if it helps, we want to work with the community and go forward towards it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
More questions?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.